Well, you're probably wondering where old Jay Snip's been, and as you can tell by the sound of my voice, old Snippy has been under the weather. Had a sore throat Friday, started to subside by Saturday. I was like, okay, good, it'll be just like a little 2-day thing, which then turned into massive congestion and sick and laid up in bed. And in today's Monday, 3 days later, and it's finally starting to go away. But I went ahead and took the day off work today as well. When my alarm clock went off this morning, I was like, nah, I can't do it. So I don't want to make a long video because the sound of my voice is probably annoying. Two things. We've got a house. We will be moving in on Friday and Saturday. So I'll be taking the day off work on Friday and then Saturday as well to get moved in. Not too awfully far from here where I live now. Much larger house. Price was actually right. We didn't think we were going to get it at first, but it turns out we are. Which also means the political game show is about to get going. I'm kind of excited about that. Can't wait to see how that goes. I got to do a few test runs, probably with some family members or something to make sure I know what the hell I'm doing and it looks good. But I'll just finish this video quickly. Because I just really don't want to be blowing my nose and all that crap in front of you. But this whole thing going on in Oregon, right? This militia taking over this federal building or whatever, and now what they call the 3%ers from Idaho are another militia group that says that they've come in to secure a perimeter between the people inside, the militia inside the buildings, and the FBI on the outside because they do not want another WACO type of event to happen. Everywhere I look with this thing is screaming WACO. I'm sure same with you. And again, as I said when we first heard about this, man, I hope this isn't some John Titor stuff happening right in front of our faces. And now it's escalated a bit, right? So I just said, well, I've got my old John Titor document from 2009, which is an interesting date that I sent it to myself, 3/22, Skull and Bones, 2009. And there's some other stuff I sent myself from 2008 as well. But I just searched the word WACO inside the document, which is all of his conversations going back and forth. And I'm just going to read you all of them from the first one I find to the second one. And anyone that ever followed John Titor, the time traveler story, knows that the dates he gave have absolutely come and gone. But it's as interesting in the same way that the webbot is. Sometimes the dates it says to look for something have come and gone, and then it happens later on spectacularly. This is one thing in his whole story that I don't want happening at all. Forget the webbot and any other doom I've ever read. If John Titor's story ends up being real, this planet ain't gonna be a fun place to be living on in what looks like the near future. Maybe the next 10 years even. I'm not sure. But anyways, he says there's some questions that were asked. Will it still be lawful for me to own a handgun? I thought owning a handgun was legal in the United States. Yes, being familiar with firearms along with the other responsibilities of the Constitution becomes an important part of people's lives in 30 years. So let's think about that for a second. He's here in the year roughly 2000. 30 years from that is the year 2030. So he's saying along with, yes, being familiar with firearms along with the other responsibilities of the Constitution becomes an important part of people's lives in 30 years. But the stuff he said that he talked about, Civil War was coming and this and that, he talked about the years 2004 and 2008, and by the year 2012, everybody would be involved. It's 2016. None of that appears to have happened. Yet, if you read his whole story, you can see, it's almost like you can say, man, it's coming. A lot of what he said is, it's there. So it's odd, but in any case, he says Korea, someone says Korea is united, the Koreans, the Asian countries and whatnot, He says, I guess you could say that Taiwan, Japan, and Korea will all be forcefully annexed before End Day, which he describes End Day as Nuclear Day. I don't remember a great deal about media coverage during the civil conflicts. I would probably characterize it the same way you see coverage of Waco, Ruby Ridge, and Elian Gonzalez. From my viewpoint, yes, this is an alternative timeline. From your viewpoint, no. I think he was answering a few questions in one. The next time I find that word Waco. Your prediction of national politics, pending disintegration, beginning in 3 short years, is impossible. And his answer is, have you seen the documentary on Waco? Just for argument's sake, what do you think would happen if information were discovered that confirmed the worst accusations made against law enforcement officers there? Would you hope nothing? And the accusations were that they fired on that compound, not the other way around. That's the accusations. So he's saying if it was discovered that yes, they actually assaulted the compound, and the people inside defended themselves at that point, well, that'd be a whole different story, right? At that point, hey, our government attacked us, the people, so to speak. That's what he's saying. Another thing, number 4, I'm glad to see it's so easy for you to dismiss the Middle East. Keep in mind, year 2000, Middle East, 9/11, never happened yet. Okay? Number 4, I'm glad to see it's so easy for you to dismiss the Middle East. Yes, I suppose it's a no-brainer, but pretty soon it will be a no armor and no legger. The year and I think about that, and I see all these commercials on TV. These Wounded Warrior, and they got these guys with missing arms and legs, and all coming back from the Middle East. I do recognize that, so that's interesting. The year 2008 was a general date by which time everyone will realize that the world they thought they were living in was over. The Civil War in the United States will start in 2004. I would describe it as having a Waco-type event every month that steadily gets worse. The conflict will consume everyone in the U.S. by 2012 and end in 2015 with a very short World War III, which, as you and I both know, we're in 2016. This doesn't even make sense now. But some of it actually does. So that's what I'm saying. This is so weird. It's worth mentioning, though, because in Oregon right now, there's a militia taking over a federal building, and another militia from Idaho comes in to form a secure perimeter in between the FBI and the militia inside. A Waco-type event that gets worse and worse. Yeah, that's a repeat of what I said before. Waco, with criminal violations of the law, either directly or implicitly, as is done in this video, simply doesn't accord with the real facts. His response: a large point of contention seems to be the flashes of light that appear to be gunfire that were recorded from the aircraft flying over the compound. The FBI has stated that these flashes were sunlight reflections. I find that rather interesting since the camera was not a visible light camera. It was a thermal camera. If the federal forces learned anything from Waco, it was to install more reliable suppressors on their automatic weapons and don't use flash grenades that leave shell casings after the fire. So that's... is that one more? Yeah, that's it. So, my eyes are peeled, got my eyes peeled on this thing going on in Oregon. It's just, it's just not looking good. But stay tuned. Hopefully I'll be in better shape tomorrow to do some longer videos. I got plenty to, backlog of videos to do. Still sitting in my inbox. Take care.